Hello, and welcome back to Possible Outcomes, where the possibilities are endless. We are your hosts. I'm Nick.
And I'm Lily.
And we are two mixed girls living in a black and white world. Every week, we are going to get into the nitty-gritty of life as we know it, with the joy of two people who refuse to be told what to do. We drop new videos every Wednesday, so smash that subscribe button, and enjoy the ride. So today's episode is a Lily-led episode about Juanita Hoyt.
I am so excited. Okay, so I'm obsessed with true crime. And not in the, I get joy out of true crime. I am sincerely interested in these wild, insane cases that just don't make any sense to a normal person's brain because you're not them. You're not a serial killer. True. So, Mick, this one hits home in a really weird way. So this all happened about 30 miles away from where I grew up. Many years before I grew up, but I would not be surprised if I asked my family members if they knew of this family or this woman in particular, and they would say yes. Small towns are small towns. And so, okay, so let's talk about Waneta Hoyt here. So Waneta Hoyt was born Waneta Nixon on May 13th in 1946 in Richford, New York, which is a little city in between the border of New York and Pennsylvania and Syracuse. So it's in that kind of like valley area up there. And there's really not too much to find about her youth, but what we do know is that she was one of 8 children. She was the 6th child, and she dropped out of high school in the 10th grade because she met a man. She met a lovely boy. She met Tim Hoyt, and so in 10th grade on the school bus.
All right.
So she was like,
on the love on a bus.
Gotta go to school, and then she's like, Timmy boy.
Let's get married,
start a family, and live life. And, cool, live your life. All right?
Okay.
Boy, do things go downhill from there. Okay, so now, that was 1964 when she married Tim Hoyt. 1964. And so from that point on, she was Waneta Hoyt. So she dropped Nixon, now is Hoyt. So Waneta's family is broken, I'd like to say. So there's a lot of physical ailments for her family. There's brain tumors, there's hip issues, there's a lot of stuff going on. Her mom passed away in a car accident. There's a lot happening in this family. No one's got it easy, right? And so we all kind of thought maybe Waneta will have it easy. She's the lucky one in the bunch. She, said, I don't need the school. I got a man who, I believe they said that Tim Hoyt was a security guard at the Cornell Museum.
Okay.
So, yeah. Okay. So
let's. Got a job.
Yeah. So good job. Got a job.
That's good.
And
That's
in
good.
in the 60s.
Yeah.
You're set, go get a house, go a little piece of land. And that's what they did. So Waneta wanted to be a wife. Clearly, she dropped out of school to be one. And she wanted to be a mother because she got pregnant very, very quickly. And you would think someone who has kids wants to have kids in that situation, married, home, job, if you want to have kids, you're probably having kids. If you don't want to have kids, you're probably not having kids. And it wasn't like 1800s, right? Where it was have kids. It was the 60s, these are your kids. You have kids. So, okay. However, so I wrote this. So Waneta seemed to want to be a wife and a mother. Someone who continues to have kids tends to want to. However, her children would only be born to learn the cruelties that life and what we believe to be an extreme cause of undiagnosed mental illness can create and also destroy. So when I wrote that, I was like, yes, these babies, plural babies, were only born into a world where they would know harm and fear and sadness. I digress. So Juanita gave birth to a total of 5 children. She had five kids. So she had 5 kids. She does have an adopted son who was around 17, 19 years old when she went to jail. But we're not going to talk about this kid because this human, from what I have read, is still alive. I believe them to be, by the timing of this, he was 17 in the 90s. So I believe he would probably be in the 40s area. And out of respect for him, we are simply telling the story of a serial killer. And he
wasn't. So he was adopted. So she had 6 kids?
She had 6 kids total.
And
5,
okay.
Yeah, 5 biological, and the 6th came later. And she adopted him when he was very young. But we are not going to dig deep into this human's life or her husband's life. We're not, I'm not trying to oust anybody or dox anybody
on blast.
Yeah. So I'm just speaking on what I've learned from this this situation, this case in particular. I hope he has gone on to live a fulfilling life, and can understand what happened, and I'm sure has all the details that he would need for it. But that's where I end. So don't ask about him. Don't know. Don't need to know. You don't need to know. Let him live. So they do adopt a child, and this child is the only surviving child out of all of them. So, yeah. So Juanita's first child, let's start with the babies. So Juanita's first child, Eric, was born October 17th, 1964, and suddenly passed away in January 26th, 1965. So little baby Eric was around for 101 days. There was really no sign or reason for this very young baby to pass. So it was declared SIDS, or sudden infant death syndrome, which is a way to categorize the death of a child that has really no explanation. So typically SIDS occurs when a child is sleeping. A lot of times, after midnight, after a deep sleep before they wake up type of thing. And there is no reason. There's no cause. There's no correlation between anything. And SIDS is such an insane and sad situation that people and parents are still, very concerned for. There's the owl or owlet or something, monitoring system that you put on little babies' feet. So it's just the baby just dies. And so they categorized Eric's death as SIDS because they couldn't find a reason. The doctor couldn't find a reason. However, we all know that Eric did not die from sudden infant death syndrome. So the other children after Eric, James was born May 31st, 1966, and passed September 26th, 1968. So James was the longest surviving child of 28 months. There was no other child that lived past 28 months of her birthed children. Julie was born Julie was born in July of 19th. Oh my gosh. Julie was born July 19th of 1968 and then passed on September 5th, 1968. Molly was born March 18th, 1970 to June 5th, 1970. And Noah was born May 9th, 1971 and passed on July 28th, 1971. So all of these deaths were labeled as SIDS, but they were actually murders. So Juanita was a serial killer, but was able to play dumb, play scared, play fear, play cry, and get her doctor on her side and say, wow, this is rare, but all your kids died of SIDS.
This is rare?
Yep. Yeah.
The fuck out. Get out.
So after
wow. Prepare to get mad, people.
Yeah, this is extremely frustrating because there were some doctors and some nurses that were notifying and coming to like her actual physician and was like, hey, like she's not being normal with her newborn babies, you know, like because she'd go to the hospital, have a baby, and she'd just be like looking at it, it's like, okay, there's a baby, or you know, like there's no connection, you know, like why is her baby dead, like when, like why is this happening? But the doctor was quoted to say, like, doctors don't want to believe that parents are harming their kids, so we're not really going to dig deep into it. Like, they all died from SIDS. So 5 little babies, 5 little babies. Nothing wrong with them. Okay. I know. Let's continue.
I'm going to mute my mic. No, I'm going to be yelling.
Yeah. And I was like, I don't understand how, you know, when a child dies in the home, you call for help. You call 911, you call police, you call medics, you call emergency services, and they all come out, and they continue to go out to this house. They continue to see the, you know, the extreme panic of this woman after her 2nd, her 3rd, her 4th. And there was no stepping in. There was no stepping in. No one stepped in before all 5 of them passed. However, something happened, right? Something's fishy. So Dr. Alfred Steinschneider was like, her physician, let's check out the connection between SIDS and sleep apnea. So he wrote an article, like a scientific article, and studied her last, like her 4th and 5th children, and wrote like a scientific article about the connection between sleep apnea and SIDS and how it could have been like an undiagnosed sleep apnea stuff, and the baby with the sleeping and the snoring and the sign, all the things, right? Yeah. And that was in the 70s, but it was strange because, you know, the nurses came out and they were like, what is going on? Like, the paramedics were concerned, but there was nothing they could do. Like, there wasn't any action, you know? If the child's death continued to be labeled as SIDS, then nothing happened. There was no death. There was no murder. There was no foul play. Nothing happened. It was SIDS. So it was SIDS. So you can't do anything. Which is mind-blowing. Because it wasn't SIDS. And everyone around her was able to figure that out except for her physician.
Like how? 5?
Yeah. Yeah.
5.
Yeah. And what was weird was, well, I'll get to like how all the things, but she was the one having the babies. Why continue to have the babies?
Like, birth control was a thing at this point.
Birth control was a thing. And it's not like they were, you know, like, bad off. What is that? You know, like, yeah, they were fine. You know, they
on the lower income end.
Yeah, they were doing fine. They were doing good. You know, Ugh. They were able to pay for funerals for 5 children. You know, they were able to pay hospital bills for having 5 children. They were able to adopt a baby. So okay.
Don't want to put the husband on blast, but
he was away working. He was bringing home the dough, right? But also put the husband on blast because
5.
And I don't want to bring up the adopted son, but the only reason that he got away, like he got to adulthood in his life, was because the situation with her husband's job brought him home, and he was home all the time. So he was there. So there wasn't the opportunity for her
to murder her adopted
and
son.
I'm just, take the good, find as much good out of it as possible. But so all those babies passed, and the last one was in 1971. So some time goes on, and she would visit her babies every Memorial Day in the
bitch.
cemetery. I know
we hate you.
This really got me. This really got me because you did it.
You done did it.
You did it. And you can't feel bad about doing it because you already did it 5 times.
And you kept doing it.
And now you're playing the martyr. You're playing the, oh, woe is me. I'm the poor broken mom. Look at all the death and despair that I have to deal with. But the only reason they're there is because of you.
We hate you, Juanita. You suck.
Oh, God, this one really just irks me to death, right? So she's carrying on with her disguise of grief, right? So she's I'm such a sad one. But she had friends, she had friends that would come over and they'd play card games and try to not think like all the bad things and not get carried away and all the bad. And no friends ever stepped in and said, wow, another one, Juanita, another one, baby. Another one. That, what? So that we're so sorry. Try again. Like, what? Okay. So some new blood started coming into town. So what is it? It's like 1985, right? So new eyeballs were taking a look at things when it comes to the government level of like policing. So there was this man, William Fitzpatrick, who was the district attorney of Onondaga County. He was handling a SID/murder case over there. And so he saw this and he was like, let me take this to like the forensic person that I know in Dallas. And the person in Dallas was like, hey, you have a serial killer in Syracuse. They just called it like Syracuse because it was like the same area. And he was like, what? What do you mean? She's like, yeah, five dead babies, all SIDS. Can't be. Impossible. It's like virtually impossible that all the kids have died from SIDS within 28 months of life. And so in 1992, Fitzpatrick actually had the ability to, in the county that he needed to be in, get this ball rolling with like coming out and getting her where she needed to be, which was jail, prison, locked up.
Which was not out and about having any more kids.
Right. And so what is it now? 1992. I'm a 2-year-old little baby. I'm just kicking about. He was like, let's review these autopsy records and let's see. Oh, yes. Looks like they were murdered. Now, suffocation and SIDS. So suffocation is hard to determine, apparently, when it comes to little babies, just because of like the fattiness, so like the blood vessels and everything. I guess it's harder to find when it comes to little babies. And it's also easier to do on a little baby because it's a little baby. Because it's a little baby. And like, oh my God, like I don't want to have kids. I personally don't want kids. I don't want to have kids. I don't need children to be fulfilled. That's my choice as a woman. My uterus. Shut up about it if you have anything else to say.
Shut up about it.
But I would never in a million years. There's nothing on this planet Earth that would even give me the urge to even like shake a baby, let alone suffocate them. And like I don't have maternal instincts. Maybe I have like a little bit, but not like the normal amount. Not like the normal amount of a normal woman. It's just what it is. I'm doing other things.
It's got things to do.
I got other things to do. But to say, like watching Putin bomb hospitals and schools breaks my heart.
Yeah.
Like, I can't tell you how many conversations that I've had where it's like, okay, yeah, but just not the kids. And that's an agreed upon statement. You don't hurt the kids. You don't hurt kids. You don't hurt children.
Leave them alone.
Unless it's The Walking Dead.
Right.
You don't hurt kids. And, like, also a reminder, that's not real. So yeah, so this is what my brain was doing when I was doing all this research on this. So, yes, they were murdered. They were all suffocated. And the reason, so the doctor was like, look, I don't want to believe that my patient is actually hurting her kids, right? I don't want that.
Nobody wants to believe that.
I don't want to believe that. But also, I'm not a trained autopsy person, but I'm going to do the autopsy on him anyway.
I'm not a coroner, but let me do this autopsy.
Okay. Well, then you're wrong. Like, then you're wrong. Then you did it wrong. You did all the things wrong. Wrong.
Idiot.
Okay. All right. So 1994. Oh my God, I'm such a cute little baby at this point. Like, the chubbiest little cheeks.
So cute.
Stop. I can't even handle it. Hair for days. So 1994 rolls around, and it is arrest day. So it's March. Juanita is chilling at the post office, just doing her little postal business.
Get your motherfucking mail, bitch.
And a state trooper was like, oh my God, Juanita, hi, how are you? Good.
Your day's about to be ruined.
I have a question. Like, I'm doing some research on SIDS. Would you be interested in, chatting with me about it? It's just something that, I really need to know. I'd like to know more about, and you have this unfortunate experience. So would you be interested in talking with me for a moment? Yeah, of course. All right. Okay, great. Come
down
on.
At the station.
Come on down. And we'll chat with you in an interrogation room with a couple of other folks about SIDS. That'd be great. Thank you so much.
Just an interview. Just a little interview.
Thanks for coming with us.
Thanks, Juanita.
And one of the police officers, whatever, were like, honey, it's time to tell us the truth. Because she was all like, I never hurt my babies. I didn't do anything of the sort. That was not me. I didn't hurt my babies. I never hurt my babies. And then they're like, look, you're a lying sack of shit, and we know you did. And she's like, okay, look, yeah, no, I suffocated all my babies. Yeah, I killed them all. So, and then she's like, yeah, no, I killed this one, and I killed this one, and I killed this one.
Shit.
Yeah. Yep. And they were like, okay, well, that was an easy 2 hours. Let's go get lunch. Lunch, anybody?
Wrap
lunch?
It up.
Great. Sounds great. So she, yeah. So she folded, and she was like, yep. And so this is...
How many years had gone by at this point?
So this is 1994, and her last baby died in 71.
Wow.
Yeah.
The fuck is fucking fucked.
Yeah, so she was able and out to live for, it was like, what, 25 years?
Yeah.
So that she could just exist. No repercussions of killing every born child from her womb.
Like, why, Juanita? Why?
Yeah.
Why?
So she was, so she told, what happened. And so going down the list, I will make this as comfortable as I possibly could. Eric, her first child, was suffocated because of his incessant crying. Julie was suffocated because, by Juanita's shoulder because of her incessant crying. James was suffocated with a towel because of his incessant crying. Molly was suffocated with a pillow because of her incessant crying. And Noah was also suffocated with a pillow because of his incessant crying. She said she didn't want them to die. she wanted them to be quiet, to quiet down.
Fuck you, Juanita.
Yeah. So she wanted them to quiet down. And, okay. Raising a baby is not easy.
No, amen.
And I get that. But babies cry.
Spoiler alert.
And when they get old enough to walk around, they walk around and cry.
Current situation.
And it was so, okay, so this is where it gets me. She let James live for 28 months. So James was able to like get up, you know.
James was walking around.
That's a 2-year-old.
Probably trying to talk.
Yeah, walking and talking. He was a smart
probably
little guy.
A hefty little boy. Yeah.
And because he wanted her attention, Mom, you're my mom. I'm 2.
I'm 2.
She had enough. So, crime, confession, now the trial, right? Because of course, she pleaded not guilty, just to waste everyone's time, county's money, jurors'
Shut
time.
up, Juanita.
4 weeks of trials. 4 weeks of trials. 6 men, 6 women.
You've been out for 25 years.
25 years.
That was enough.
Yeah.
Juanita.
So 25 years, she finally goes to trial. And all 6 men and all 6 women on that jury found her guilty of murder for each child. Which, good on you. Well done. Well done. She died in prison shortly after she went because of pancreatic cancer. When she went to trial...
I don't want anyone to get cancer.
No.
Fuck you, Juanita. Okay?
Yeah.
Fuck you. Really?
Yeah.
How long was she even in jail for?
Oh, God, maybe 2 years. Maybe 2 years. Then she died.
We hate her. Sorry, I interrupted you. Go ahead.
No, that's okay. Her adopted son was 17, I believe, when they went to trial. Oh. And I believe he was 19 when she died. So I don't... This really, this was big. This was big news. So when the story broke that this woman was quite possibly a serial killer in some random upstate New York town near Syracuse, it was big time. It was big time. Like, just flooded with reporters and cameras and just wanting all the info possible. Because a woman serial killer, already rare. A woman killing her babies and being a serial killer was so extreme and a different level. And killing babies is, there's something like really extra, like, psychological about killing a baby. A lot of times there's like a sexual motive behind baby killings. There was not with her. There was not a single sign of that, which, good. Baby's still gone. There was no sadistic, like, party or anything about it. It was just, she just wanted the baby
and dumb
to be quiet.
And she was young and she was dumb.
She was young.
She was 19 when she killed her first baby.
She was young and she was dumb, but also she she was able, I don't know, it is so weird. I think the secret, like they were saying, like the secret probably was what was doing it for her, like having the secret of knowing that she killed her kids and everyone else not being able to figure it out, must have done something, like must have like produced some kind of something moan inside of her that made her keep doing it.
Yeah.
You know? Because it's one thing to my brain. Now bear with me. It's one thing to have a baby and then you want it to be quiet and you accidentally kill it. It's diagnosed as SIDS and you get away with it. You don't have any more babies.
Don't have any more babies.
Because you just proved to yourself that you do not know how to take care of a baby. But you did it 4 more times. And that's a monster. That's a monster. That's a pure monster. And then to fiend oh my God, my baby, and running into the street and you know, begging for the attention of it and turning it into, you know, you're sobbing and passing out at funerals and watching the little baby caskets, you know, get lowered into the ground and you're having these, you know, dramatic passion moments, but you were the one who killed this damn kid in the first place.
Now I wonder. She was never diagnosed with any mental illness.
So there was a lot of talk about Munchausen by proxy when it came to this particular case. Now, Munchausen is like you're putting a sickness on, like, typically like it's a kid, like mother to daughter, like the Gypsy Rose issue, where the mom was like basically making her sick. And telling her, you know, you can't do this, you can't do that, you need a feeding tube, you need this, you need that. But to me, it doesn't really fit. I mean, I am no professional whatsoever, but to me, it just doesn't really fit. I think this was just a monster. I think this was just a really... I think she was just broken mentally while the rest of her family was broken physically when it came to ailments, you know, tumors, cancer, you know, hip replacements and all that stuff.
She did eventually die of cancer.
She did eventually die of cancer, which
I also thought was really interesting.
I don't think if she didn't go to jail, like if she got away with it, I don't think she would have died with cancer. I think the universe, and I'm not really a godly person, so I kind of put things onto the universe and kind of karma is like my god. I think the karma of her killing her babies and getting away with it and never saying, I need help, I did something wrong, I messed up, turning herself in, I think karma was like, no. You get to go out in a really bad way. You don't get to just sit here and get old and die of age. Like when you get caught, because you will get caught, and you'll feel real foolish when you do. I think a little bit of karma hit her, because pancreatic cancer.
Damn.
In like what, the 90s? As a prisoner, you're not getting like the top tier healthcare. You know, you're just going.
Enjoy the ride, because it's over.
I don't know.
Yeah. I also wonder how much of that was postpartum, because there's a comment you made where the nurses were like, look at her, look at this kid. Something ain't clean in the milk.
Yeah.
Like, but then she continued getting pregnant, which I don't know. Maybe they couldn't afford birth control. I don't know.
I think I don't really know too much about postpartum depression, and I know that it can really take a toll on a woman. Like it can totally morph their brain into something that they would never even think possible.
Yeah.
But I don't think, I mean, I'm sure it probably had something to do with it. You know, I'm sure that there was some postpartum there, because I've heard women who are like, oh my God, I love being pregnant. And it's like,
love it.
Just the sound of it makes me sick to my stomach. But I don't I don't know if I would say I would love, like, if I don't know if I would say, oh, I'd love being pregnant. Like, that just seems weird. Like, you were throwing up for 3 months. Like you ate the weirdest crap for like 7 months. I don't know. It just seems, and then the postpartum, which I don't know. I have a feeling that like the people, I'm not making assumptions. I'm not gonna say that out loud. I just have a feeling that postpartum had something to play, like had some part to play in this, but there was more. I think
Yeah,
there was
I
like
agree with
a
that. Yeah.
major underlying condition that they just weren't able to get a diagnosis on that maybe just ignited when it came to her first baby.
Yeah.
You know, and who knows what her family life was like. You know, she was 6 of 8,
True. Yeah.
you know, born in the 40s, like tough times, upstate New York. You know,
Mm,
you weren't like little city girls, you know, little city kids running around. Like you were upstate New
yeah.
York in the country, you know.
I mean, I know it's hard because people want something to blame.
Yeah.
And I mean, maybe it's just the cold hard fact that she was a giant heap of trash
Yeah.
who just liked to kill babies.
Just enjoyed killing babies.
And something about that just doesn't sit well with human people. Gosh, this sucks. She just sucks.
This was definitely a really interesting one, and I hadn't really seen too many people talk about Juanita Hoyt
Yeah.
and being a female serial killer, upstate New York, and her victims are all of her own children. That is
Yeah.
just so insane.
Yeah. There's a couple of interesting cases about parents that abuse their children. The uh damn, what is it? The something Turpin, the Turpin 13.
The Turpin 13 House
The
of Horrors. Mm-hmm.
I was like,
Yeah.
are you like prison breaks? This had to make a prison break to get help.
Yeah. She
You
fought her
go.
way out of that house and didn't even know how to tell anyone what like her street number was, you know, like where she was.
Explain to me.
And
Like, what the hell?
the scariest part is that the cops almost didn't believe her. Like they were like, what do you mean? Like this has got to be a joke. Like they almost didn't believe her. Thank God
That's
she
like
had a couple pieces of photos on her phone.
yeah, that's like Ted Bundy. Uh that one of his victims like ran out into the street, I think it was Ted Bundy, and was like, help me to the cops. And then Ted came out and he was like, oh, like, he's just like drunk and high, like
Yeah.
it's fine. And they were
Yeah.
like, oh, all right, like have a good night. And he fucking killed him.
Yeah. Yeah, because didn't he just drill the hole in his head and then he
Yes.
like was able to come to and he like made it out to the street and like people were like, what's
It was
going
like
on?
butt
What's
naked
going
or
on?
something. Yeah.
Yeah. And he's like, oh, he's just drunk. Took him back in and destroyed him.
Fucking, I can't with human people. Just dumb. But speaking of, um, not patricide, but like moms who lose their shit.
Yeah.
There was a case in Bennington, Vermont. And I have the book. It's called The Cradle Will Fall. I could talk about that in a different episode. It's so wild to me. There were like, if one person had just helped this woman,
Mm.
things would have been totally different.
Yeah.
If it like one professional, like a doctor, a nurse, the therapist,
Yeah.
like her mom tried to help her. Like it was so sad. Her mom tried to help her. Her husband eventually, like, he kind of sucked, tried to help her. But yeah, it was like very controversial. All because she had a C-section. Like, I think none of this would have happened if they were afraid to do C-sections at this point in time in Bennington, Vermont.
Mm.
And they waited too long. And then like the baby was compromised, so then they had to do an emergency C-section. And
Oof.
yeah, it was it's wild. It's a wild case. That book would fuck me up.
There was a lot of like backlash on Juanita's physician,
Yeah.
the Schneider guy. And his excuse was basically like, look, my article may have been debunked from the 70s. There may not be any connection between sleep apnea and SIDS. But you were able to learn from it.
Shut up. We hate him.
He's like, without the article, there wouldn't have been all the conversation about it. And now I think he like runs like a big like SIDS research stuff. Like he's like all about SIDS. Like that's his like main focal point of his work. Probably to, make good with the universe of saying, probably could have saved a couple of those kids if I paid a little bit more attention.
To the fact that it wasn't SIDS.
To the fact that it wasn't SIDS and that I don't want... And then, like also believe that parents are capable of hurting their kids. Okay?
It's possible.
Like, it's possible. And, yeah. It's pretty annoying when people are like, oh, they would never do that to their own kids. Okay.
Yes, they would.
Yeah, they would, and they did. And they are.
And they have. And they do. And they will. And it sucks. And it's gross. And it's horrible.
Yeah.
But it's a thing.
I think about that Turpin family a lot.
Oh yeah.
Because I remember when like the story broke about it, and I know like Hulu or something just did like a little series or something, or like 2020 or something like that did a Turpin series on it. And then
really?
I know that the 2020 lady did an interview with two of the sisters.
Diane?
Yes, I
Diane
think so.
Sawyer?
I think so. I don't really know her name. And there was actually a news article that just came out, a news alert. Oh God, there's actually a news alert that just came out the other day that actually pretty heartbreaking. A man who took in a couple of the younger Turpin kids when they got free was a pedophile. And hurt some of the kids that he took in. I don't know how it slipped through the cracks. He was registered.
Like, honestly.
Like, that's what I heard. So this may not be the truest of informations. This is just going from a very quick
fucking dumb
grasp at it might be better if I try to pull up the actual article. So two Turpin siblings, this is a title of an article from 2 days ago. Two Turpin siblings molested by foster father after horror house rescue report. Marcelino Olguin of Paris, California, has been charged with 7 counts of committing a lewd and lascivious act on a child and 6 of torture. They're pleading not guilty. The family fostered 4 other children as well as the Turpins. Those Turpin kids need to be like, if there's any children in America right now that need to be taken care of, are those Turpin kids.
Yeah, man.
Like, these children have been tortured their entire lives, and then when a 17-year-old girl steps out and she looks maybe 12, and she says, I mean, was she 17 when she did it? I think she was. To save her children or her sisters and brothers from being literally like handcuffed and chained to their beds. And then the state steps in, steals the GoFundMe money and all the donations that were made to help these kids, and then hands them off to pedophiles? You're joking. You're joking.
America.
And this one ain't got nothing to do with race, because these little white babies are being tortured.
America.
That is so disgusting.
Yep.
And the state California can suck it when it comes to this whole case. California can take a real good fucking suck at it because these kids, people donated money, thousands and thousands of dollars to help these kids, to get these kids bikes and backpacks and clothes and shoes and fun foods and going to restaurants or whatever they wanted to do because it's their money. And they've had to fight tooth and nail to even see a minuscule percentage of it. And the government, that is the people who are controlling that money, who are supposed to be doling that money out, are like, it's taken care of. We'll look into it, whatever. They're getting what they deserve.
California. Right, California.
So...
No,
that is the story of Juanita Nixon Hoyt.
We hate you, Anita.
We hate you, Anita. And we are sorry that all the kids that were born to you had no one on their side.
Zero.
At all.
Fuck.
It was a shame. A whole community failed those children. A whole community.
How? Just how?
How? And then just let it go. Failed the kids. Well, she didn't have any more kids, so there's no more dead babies. Let it go for 25 years.
It was Sids. Sids my ass.
Anywho. So that's that. Thank you all so much for watching. Sorry to be a downer, but I thought it was a really interesting story that I have yet to see anyone really talk about. And so if you're interested, definitely go look up Waneta Hoyt. But I would probably suggest looking up something like cute puppies or kittens or cars or something. Yeah, because that was a downer. Thank you all so much for being here. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to subscribe before you go. Hit the subscribe button. Smash the subscribe button. Like, comment, let us know what you think of our true crime convo. And we will see you next week.
We will see you later.
Okay. Bye.